Hello and welcome to Voice of the Fat Mantis and my review of Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 1 and 2, found only on Disney+. That's right, it is finally the most highly anticipated show. Obi-Wan Kenobi is finally upon us. What did we get out of it? Now, before I get into it, let's talk about a quick history of it. For starters, I really appreciated that it was dropped at midnight instead of 3 a.m. Normally, I would watch it while I was sipping on coffee every morning at the breakfast table because I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. I used to do that for those Marvel shows, and then they stopped being worth that. And now I got an opportunity to watch it while I sip my evening wine instead of my morning coffee, so it was a great pleasure. Why did they do this? Because it was Star Wars Celebration, which happens out, I believe, in Anaheim, California, or Disney World in Florida. I don't know where it was. All I know is that Star Wars Celebration did happen, and they dropped all sort of behind-the-scenes looks at other things that they're putting out. And unfortunately, they didn't put out any announcements for movies. It was really upsetting to a lot of us, especially us who review movies as our shtick. Kind of scary. It's kind of looking bad, but they kind of buttered us when they dropped us off with some Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I definitely appreciated that. So before we get into it, I urge you to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Mantis so I can continue my shenanigans and we can continue all the wonderful things such as nerd reviews, analyses, and breakdowns from none other than me, the Fat Mantis. So let's get into it. First thing I got to say I liked about this show is the settings. I think they did atmosphere and ambiance very well. Obviously, it's clear that it was an ode to the prequels, particularly their use of children and their use of like lighthearted situations like Alderaan. We finally actually got to see scenes on the planet Alderaan, which I'm not sure if we've ever encountered before, but I appreciated it and I love the contrast between the life of a royal girl and this poor guy, Luke Skywalker, living out in a godforsaken desert. Obi-Wan is doing great, and I'm going to move right into characters right now. Obi-Wan does amazing, as he usually does. Ewan McGregor was born to play this role. He continues to do it well, and I love it. Taking place just a decade after the second Duel of the Fates. That's the one where Anakin gets his ass burned up. It really does look like he is hard out on his luck. He's working as a craftsman. Once a regal Jedi Knight, now a pathetic guy hiding from the system, from the man, if you will. I think he did a wonderful job. Now, what did I feel about these episodes? I'm going to be honest. I didn't love these episodes. I actually think they fall into the mediocre range. Thank God they didn't fall into the burning pile of crap that Boba Fett was. It certainly wasn't that, but still, there's a couple more episodes to go, so they always have time to ruin it, Disney. But I will say that Ewan McGregor did ultimately pull it off, but not other than the setting and Ewan McGregor, there isn't much that I actually really enjoyed about it. What we have here is a case of bait and switch. We were sold a gritty, dark tale of a down-and-out man, possibly alcoholic, hiding from the system. And what we ended up getting was a lot of fare with children. Leia, I loved seeing her. I loved seeing how her life on Alderaan was. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It was kind of fun. But ultimately, she took too much of the story and plot. She dominated certain conversations, certain blocks of the story, and there are these childish scenes of him chasing a little girl around a dark alleys to try to protect her from the bad man, but she thinks he's the bad man. It read very Phantom Menace, and it's not the story that I was hoping or I wanted to see Obi-Wan in. I don't mind him saving people. They also violate canon in a sense that, like, although Princess Leia never says she remembers Ben Kenobi protecting her as a child, when in her ultimate famous broadcast, the recording that she gave R2-D2, why didn't she say, "Oh, Ben Kenobi, it's me, Princess Leia. You saved me as a child. Now I'm asking you to do it again." Why did that never come out of her mouth? And that's what tends to be the problem with prequels. If you're not very careful, you don't mind your P's and Q's, you're gonna fall into contradictory. Now, I think not understanding that it's clear Leia had never met Obi-Wan is easily, even the most casual Star Wars fan knows that. Absolutely. So I don't know ultimately why it happened. Another problem that I had to say, other than just too much Princess Leia in the story is I have to say is Reva, the third sister, is not repping hard. They don't seem to understand the concept of Star Wars villains. It takes more than wearing black. You have to be believably evil. Now, you could do things like casually evil, the way Tarkin or General Grievous were, where you can tell they don't really care that they're doing evil. It just is what it is. Or people who revel in doing evil, like Sidious. But ultimately, you need that villain archetype, and she does not play a believable villain. When she's yelling at people or barking at people, it seems ultimately forced. I also don't like her appearance ultimately. I really wish she was wearing a helmet or had dark side or eyes. It might sell the role a little better. And I'm not saying cover up that face of her. She has a beautiful face. But I'm saying she could wear some sort of design similar. It doesn't have to be, but just like the male Inquisitor that she's with, who wears that weird hat, she could have had some sort of thing to make her look more like she's in a space opera, and she's not just like hanging out in modern day Earth. She just didn't sell it. I don't ultimately believe that she's a very good villain or actress. And next, we've got to get into our Grand Inquisitor. Dare the Fat Mantis defend Rebels? But I'm about to defend Rebels. Why are you making me do this, Lucasfilm? So the Inquisitor canonically dies years later. He's supposed to die at least 5 years later at the hands of, I believe it's Kanan. I believe he fell off a bridge into some lava or something. That is his canonical death. If he died in the end of episode 2 of this series, then he doesn't live to do any of the stuff that we see in Rebels. Now, it is possible he survived being driven through the chest with a lightsaber. It's possible, although that actual form of death, we have never to date seen someone survive that type of wound. We've literally seen people get cut in half by lightsabers, but never surviving being driven through by one. It's possible he's going to live and remain an antagonist of this series, but I really didn't like that they went there. Now, there is a problem with this series ultimately, and it's about style. Ultimately, the director and showrunners such as Deborah Chow and them are not giving us Star Wars style. Everyone's dressed right, the setting is right, but something is off by the tone. And what do I mean by that? An example is, for instance, when Kumail Nanjiani was playing the fake Jedi and scamming people, instead of him hamming it up, they really should have had him do a very convincing and believable scene of a Jedi. And Obi-Wan watches this, and after he sends the mother on his way, the one thing we should have been weirded out about is that he charged them. He asked them for money. But then he sends them on his way, and then ultimately, when Obi-Wan confronts them, it's then revealed that he's a fake Jedi, and we are taken by the twist. Another example is Obi-Wan, being a Jedi Sentinel, does a lot of sneaky things. He uses deception, subterfuge, lock-picking, stealth, and all sorts of illusions to get his way out of things. Him sneaking into the space meth lab was completely just passed over. They literally see him walk in, and next thing you know, he has a costume and he's fitting in right in there. They should have seen the struggles and the sneakiness, sneaking behind opponents, stealing costumes, and coming up with these ideas. That's kind of the fun of Star Wars, and it was completely omitted for, I guess, more scenes of Princess Leia or something. I don't really know what's going on there. But I'm saying ultimately, I have to give this like a general middle of the row rating. I was completely unimpressed with what they ultimately delivered. And when it came down to Reva betraying the Grand Inquisitor, aren't they supposed to be superior in force of skills and stealth? And even I knew she was going to betray him. Why didn't he do something similar to, like she tried to strike him down and he pulled out a lightsaber, and they could have had a short duel and then she best him. If you want to make Reva diss him by looking like a great and powerful character, that would have been a great way to do it, and it would have been better style, and it would have been more fun for us. But just the fact that he was so much of a sucker that he let his underling mow him down like that, it's just utterly pathetic. No wonder the Empire lost. They don't know what they are doing. But ultimately, that is my lightning review of episodes 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. What did you guys think of it? Please let me know down in the comments. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Mantis for more reviews, breakdowns, and ultimately all the best shenanigans that are fit to print. Guys, what did you think about it? Please let me know. Your comments keep me going. But until next time, ciao for now.